Stephanie Moyer of Sheppton is in her second year of racing in the ARCA Series East. A few weeks back, she talked with me and motorsport journalist Dino Alberto about what it was like coming back to her home state to race at the Pocono Raceway. You can see that interview at SSPTV.com and on our YouTube channel. Just search SSPTV Stephanie Moyer. In part 2 of our interview with Stephanie, we chat about the business side of racing and more. It's time for another Keeping Track segment with Dino Alberto. You've told me this for years, Dino, about, the sport as peers is, as much as people like it, at the highest levels, it's about money. How impressed are you with Stephanie and her team working with Andy Hillenberg and Fast Track Racing in North Carolina from what they've been able to do?
She has the drive. She has a good team behind her. Andy Hillenberg does an amazing job as working with ARCA as the team that he is and what he's done for many, many years. He's a former champion with ARCA, and he's been around for a long, long time. His Fast Track operation has put a lot of drivers through his shop that have gone on to bigger and better things, and obviously he has nothing but praise to say about Stephanie every time I have the chance to talk with him, and her results speak for themselves right now with the equipment she has, and it's good equipment. But she is also going up against higher-ended equipment, and she's holding her own out there.
But it's an interesting other part of it, because I guess that's the thing, away from how much stuff do you think people don't realize is away from the track, trying to build up sponsors and relationships and get your name out there?
It's really tough. It is super tough, because without building social medias, it's hard to sell branding. So with these sponsors, potential sponsors that come in and want to team up with you, they expect something back. So basically it's not just, hey, everyone's like, you should be doing, focus on racing instead of doing social media stuff. Well, hey, I need that social media stuff to build my followers, to build my sponsors. So it's more sponsors actually they look at your following and they say, hey, you don't have enough following, I don't want to sponsor you. So it's a big, big deal when it comes into racing.
So this is pretty cool. You are one of 7 drivers involved in Busch Light's Accelerate Her program, which I think is one of the greatest names of all time as well. I told my wife that. She's like, that's awesome. That's a great... Also has an awesome promo. Again, check out Stephanie's social media. You can see the cool promo there. And basically what they're doing, you explained the program to me a little bit. I mean, they're really helping the female drivers, like you said, almost trying to level the playing field.
Yeah, so the Busch Light Accelerate Her program is basically investing $10 million into these women that are coming up the rankings in motorsports. And so you have to be 21 or older, being that's a Busch company, but they're helping get us to the highest level in NASCAR. So whether it's helping out social media wise or just investing in equipment for us, like any other things, something. So basically, it's just helping invest and get us where we need to be.
How have you seen the sport change? You've been around it for a long time. You're seeing more women. I mean, how have you seen the sport change? I mean, is it more recently, or has this been happening for a bit?
No, it's been evolving for a long time. Back in the day when I was young, as a kid, and that coming up there, you had the recognizable drivers. But these drivers really didn't start getting their opportunity to race until they were in their late 20s, maybe early 20s if they were lucky enough. There's talent coming through this sport right now that are 11, 12, 13 years old. The ARCA drivers, some of the ones that she's competing against right now, they're a bunch of teenagers out there. And so they are now cutting their teeth at such a young age that by the time they're in their early 20s, some of them are already advancing into the Cup Series. So it's a tough world to get out there and to be competitive like that. There's only X amount of rides. It's no different than the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball. Kenny, that there's only so many positions, so many teams of the thousands and thousands of individuals trying to get into the sport, and short track racing and professional racing is no different to get those rides and then to keep those rides. But it's really evolving more and more so. It seems like a freight train at this point, where they're coming in as young talent, both male, female, all types of ethnic backgrounds are coming in, which is all good for the sport. And it's just the fact that it's not what it used to be at one time, when you had these guys that were coming up from the dirt tracks and the short tracks all over the country, but a lot older, as opposed to now where they're a lot younger.
I have one final question for you. Difference between you year one doing all this with ARCA East and that, and year two. Is there a difference? Do you feel any different? I mean, how have you changed, if at all?
I feel a lot more comfortable. Last year, I was a nervous wreck. I was a nervous wreck. I'm coming at new equipment I've never drove before. So being in the factory stock for the last 8 years, it was insane. Like, I'm coming up to a lot more speed and horsepower and a lot of stuff to learn, like aerodynamics, stuff that I did not have to worry about racing the factory stock. So I was a lot more nervous last year. This year, I'm super comfortable, and like, I was just having this conversation the other day about how comfortable I am with my crew chief. We were singing to each other on the radio while we're sitting red flag at Pocono. Like, it's just, they see my potential and I see my potential, and it's just, you know, finding where the money's is. But it's just, from last year, I feel like I've grown as a driver. I've grown what to say, what not to say, what to do on social media, what not to do on social media, and what to do at the track, what not to do at the track. So it's what do's and what don'ts. And I've grown a lot more comfortable being in the car. Last year, I wasn't so much comfortable coming to these new tracks I've never been to before. Now, year two, coming back to these tracks and knowing exactly what I'm in for, it's kind of nice this time around.
You know, Kenny, she has done that. She has made amazing progress from last year to this year, coming back to the same tracks. You could see she was nervous last year, and I don't blame her. I mean, you took this young lady from locally and threw her out there into the big leagues and said, okay, here's what you're going to do. Now see you in about an hour or two, and let's know how this works out. But you could put her anywhere right now, and keep in mind, these are little bull rings that she's racing on. They're little tight, short ovals. There's a lot of banking to them. Some of them don't have a lot of banking. It's always that fact that she's in traffic and in competition. That is going to help her down the road. That's going to help her when she's looking to get to that next level, to get on some of the bigger tracks and gain that speed and go faster and faster stuff. So it's been a great progress, and it's been a great journey watching her thus far, and I know we're not done with her.
Well, look out for Dino's work. He's covering a lot of local drivers on the local scene as well as on the national scene, like Stephanie. Dino, thank you as always for your time and bringing your expertise here. And Stephanie, thank you for your generous time. You're so busy. It's the middle of the season here. You're home to see family, and that we took a lot of it, so thank you so much for your time today. Sports on SSPTV News is brought to you by the Lehigh Valley Health Network.